Right guys, welcome back to another new video from me and Steve. With the Texaco race car ready for to go to paint next week, we thought we'd get a couple of these road cars in, get these blitzed off before we start the next race car. Basically, two blue Sierras, one a standard 3-door, one an RS500. We have another standard 3-door that we'll show you in a minute to do as well. Basically what we're doing to these, the customers have given us free rein basically to do whatever we think the cars need, to recommission them, get them on the road. This one's been on the road, but he just wants a few minor jobs doing, and just said anything we see, crack on and get it done. He wants the car right. So Steve will go through that car, let you know what he's doing on that one, and then I'll go through this one and let you know briefly what I'm doing on this.
Right guys, so as Paul said, I've been working on this. This is standard 3-door, which has been laid up for quite a while, and we've basically just been more or less told do what we think it needs to recommission it and tidy it up a bit. So we'll start at the front. Cam belts, I started on this yesterday and I dropped the radiator and the intercooler and bits and pieces off. Obviously I've put covers over everything to stop stuff falling in, but it'll be having a cam belt, little bits like this. You can see this bungy has just got a bit of cracking on the end of it, so that'll get changed. Rocker cover will come off. We'll have a look under there, make sure everything's all right. There's no rust on any of the cam lobes are out because it has been stood a while. Rocker cover will get a refurb. Some black plug leads, again, because you know, if we're going back to standard, it really wants to have original looking bits. Water pump's getting done at the same time. Whilst we've got cam belt off, it may as well be done.
We do that really as a matter of course, because to be honest, what we found with these cars is you tend to do timing belt on them, and then a week later water pump starts to leak. So obviously while the belt's off, it's easy to change the water pump. So we do that really.
It'll get service, oils, filters, air filter, all the rest of it. I've already pulled all the pads out, so the brake pads are out already, and I'll clean up all the sliders and make everything look nice and pretty and put that back together. Discs will sandblast, lightly sandblast the discs to get the rust out of them. Maybe just paint up the edges. Because anything that's stood a while, you know, as soon as you wash it, they end up being rusty again. And then I've been all the way through the car. Underneath, I've looked at everything underneath. There was a couple of brake pipes at the back to change. Power steering pipes for the power steering cooler pipes.
Yeah, the cooler pipe.
There to be done, which we've ordered. So yeah, we're just waiting on bits really. As soon as all that turns up, we can start throwing it all back together.
Steve's already taken gearbox out of this car, because we're putting a clutch in it, skim the flywheel, which I'll quickly show you there. You can see they have a fair ridge on them, and most people leave it, but we'll get that skimmed. The wheels are getting refurbished, new tyres, because you can see there how badly the tyres have cracked. So we'll put new tyres on it. So yeah, that's Steve's job for this week. Right guys, this is my job. This is an RS500. Very much similar to what Steve's doing on that. We're doing a clutch on it, so gearbox to come out. We forgot to mention on that one of Steve's, the crankcase rear seal is leaking, so we're going to do that at the same time on that car. Maybe even the sump gasket on that. This is almost identical. It's leaking at the front, leaking at the back, so we're going to do the front and rear seals, probably the sump gasket. We'll have a look at that. This is having a clutch as well. Timing belt, tensioner, water pump, all the ancillary belts, rocker cover off, refurbished, new plug leads. It's had a mouse under the bonnet at some time, and for some reason mice like to eat plug leads. So very similar job to Steve's really. The brakes and that on this have all been done, so we don't have to worry about them. The turbo, we're just speaking to the customer now, waiting for a call back. The turbo is by no means knackered, but it has got quite a bit of play in it, so it makes sense to do it now while everything's in bits. Take that off, send it away, get that rebuilt, put that back on. Rad and intercooler, again, I've had to come out of this to do take the bottom pulley off, because they're always seized on and you can't get the puller in with the radiator and everything in. So it's easier anyway, makes a better job of it. I think that's it on this car. He basically said anything we see. He wants a general tidy up, so we'll put a lot of new Jubilee clips on it, a few new nuts and bolts that are rusty, just to make it look fresher and nicer, because the rest of the car, as you can probably see when we take that off, is pretty, you know, a pretty mint. And he just wants it tidying up a little bit under the bonnet. So we'll do that for him. And then we'll show you our job that will start after this, another Moonstone Blue 3-door, which is this one. This basically was bought by a friend of mine I've known for quite a few years. He bought the car because he liked it, but he likes them standard. So basically we're just going to, there's no real issues with the car. It's just wheels off, standard wheels back on, put the mouldings down the sides that are missing, rubber grille seal is missing, and then put it back to standard under bonnet, get rid of the typical 2000s bling. Everybody went for all the alley stuff. We'll get all that off, put a standard airbox back on. It's got the famous 80s, 90s stroke alarms and immobilizers that don't work or only work when they feel like working. So we're going to rip them off, do them. A couple of things like the seat bolsters. The material's good, but the seat, you can see the foams have gone because you can see the metal frame in the seat. So we'll put 2 new bolsters in there.
I'll have to have a video of you doing that.
Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, show you how we do that. So that's it. So we've got plenty to go at this week and next week until we drag in the next shell for Steve to start working on, to do the fabrication on, which is a shell for Andy Kirkley, who owns a Cam shipping car. So he'll start on that while I carry on with Andy's car and get that put back together.
Right fellas, that's the car, well the timing set now, so I can pull bottom pulley off and get the belt off. So I'll just flip the camera around. Anybody who's not done one who might be interested. So bottom timing mark is basically, there's a notch in pulley just there. And then if you look at that, the trigger wheel, obviously it's got 4 pickup points on it for the timing, but it's obviously, it is actually the high point on the trigger wheel, not the notch. So it's that one there. Distributor needs lining up to, you can see the half moon in the casting at the back. And then obviously the pointer, so that wants to be in the middle of there, that's on the distributor. And then if we look at the top cams, we can just about see the top cam pointers want to point towards each other. Now I've obviously painted them in so that we can see them a bit better. So that's basically the timing set. I'll pull the belt off now, bottom pulley off with a puller, and I'll get the belt off and the new one on.
Right, we've had a bit of a rethink with this job here. Unfortunately, taking the turbo out, one of the manifold bolts has snapped, and it's sod's law, the two that normally slap on this side have come out. The one into there was sheared off, so we need to get that drilled out and blah blah blah, which is a bit of a pain in the backside. But so what we've thought really with this car, the gearbox is coming out. We're doing the sump gasket, the front and rear crank seals and casing seals, the belt, the tensioner, all the pulleys, taking the rocker cover off. We now have to take the exhaust manifold off, and the guy wants it tidying up anyway, bits and pieces cleaning up. So to be quite honest, with the point now we're disconnecting the wiring loom and 2 engine mountings, it's going to be as easy to take the engine out, do everything on the engine stand, which makes the life a little bit easier. We can give the block a clean up, paint it if it's required, get a few brackets and that zinc plated at the same time, and make it look a little bit nicer. So for the extra work involved, we've spoken to customer, he's happy as Larry with that. So unfortunately this is now turned into an engine out job, but hey ho, so I'll crack on.
Right guys, we've sent a load of bits off for zinc plating, but along with that we're just going to clean up stuff like the engine mounts, the odd little bracket, front pulleys, alternator pulley, power steering pulley, that type of stuff. We'll give them all a bit of a paint up. So I'm going to chuck these in the blast cabinet now. We'll have a look when they're done. There we go, all blasted, ready for a degrease and a bit of paint. I think we'll all agree they look a lot better than they did before they were cleaned up. Should look nice. Block will get painted up, zinc parts added to it, look like a new one.
Right guys, it's come to end of week already, Friday evening, but obviously a short week this week due to the Easter weekend. So we'll go through quickly where we've got to on the 2 cars me and Steve have been doing this week, and let you know where we're at. Right, I'll let you know where I've got to with this. Obviously, one thing led to another. We said in earlier in the video, we ended up taking the engine out on this car because it would just seem more sensible during what we had to do to it. So we were doing the sump gasket on it anyway. The front and rear crank seals needed doing. So we thought, you know what, for the sake of a couple of bolts, we'll take the engine out. So we whipped it out, spun it upside down. We've done the sump gasket on it. I've given the block a rub down. We've rubbed it all, got rid of the old red paint, painted it satin black like it should be, just to make it look tidier. Had all the inlet manifold, thermostat housings and whatever. You've had them aqua blasted again while it was out, make it look nice and tidy. New water pump. Don't get too close to that because we've got to clean all this up yet before all the bits go back on. But we've had all the brackets and screws and clips and everything all away at the moment, getting zinc plated. The rocker covers away at Phil Allenby's, Phil Hoy. He does the rocker covers for us. So when they come back, this is just a temporary one we put on to stop, obviously, dirt and that getting in. But yeah, we're getting there now. On the car itself, we gave it a good steam clean under the bonnet while obviously the engine was out. So that's come up really well. I'm going to paint a couple of brackets like this map sensor bracket here. I'm going to take that off, sandblast that, give that a coat of paint. And a normal thing on these 3 doors and 500 you'll see, brake fluid leaks and it lifts the paint off the chassis leg, where somebody's had a go at painting this and not done a brilliant job. So next week I'm going to bare metal all that and just blow a bit of paint in there just to make that look a bit better. Paint this cross member here as well where the paint's come off there. I'll just tidy that up. Another thing, Steve did a lot of sandblasting on bits on his car, so we've blasted the engine mountings and then we give them a coat of paint. There's some other bits in the blast room that were blasted and painted that we'll show you on the next one. So that's about it for me. So I'll hand you over to Steve and he'll tell you what he's been doing on his.
Right guys, so as Paul said, I'll just run through what I've done. So I've basically, all the rad and everything's gone back in, the intercooler's gone back in. There was a few bits, bolts missing and stuff like that, so we've replaced them. The throttle cable was actually tucked down underneath the airbox, so we've obviously rerouted that as that's supposed to go. I put a new cam belt on it, so the timing marks are all where they should be. And what I like to do is I normally just put a little line down that between the nut and the back housing and see then if it shifts. And also everything else that I've had in bits, every bolt I've come to, you can't really see at the minute, but I put a little white dot on it just so I know that it's been tightened again, and then that means if I do a spanner check, I can quickly go around it and I ain't got to come in on Monday and think, did I tighten that up? Because it's got a mark on it. So yeah, rocker cover obviously is away at the minute. That's away at the same spot as other Sierra getting redone. We've got new water pump on this one as well. New aux belts, new cam belt, new power steering pipes, which they look quite nice actually. A lot of the brackets that hold them on the P-clips you can't really see in there, but let's just put light on. There we go. You can see the P-clips. They're normal P-clips. I've just straightened out the legs on them, bolted them in, and that means that it's not going anywhere. All the brakes, again, they've all been painted, blasted and painted, so we're just about at the point of bleeding them up now. So that's another job that we've done. This is all going to get a final steam clean under here as well, so once rocker cover's back and the engine's sealed back up again, we'll go right round it and clean everything. I'm going to take header tank off and give that a clean out because that wants doing. It's just got a bit of it looks like the head gasket had maybe gone at some point in its life. New handbrake cables, again calipers have all been painted up. We've put copper slipped them just on the edges here. A lot of people go a bit mad with the copper slip and put it everywhere, but we've just on the contact patches of the pads. New grease in the sliders, built it all back up. If I lift it up, there's the rear brake pipes that we've made as well. Just send that up in the air. So the rear brake pipes that run along the rear arms, I don't think we can get hold of them anymore, so I've remade these pipes both sides because they was a bit crusty. So yeah, I think all I've got left to do on this now is bleed the brakes, fit the rocker cover with new gasket. We've done front and rear crank seals as well. I did that earlier on today. But yeah, rocker cover gasket, clutch cable, that's to do. Bleed the brakes up. The wheels that are away for refurb, they'll come back, hopefully, nice and clean. And then I've just got to put clutch and gearbox. I'm just waiting on that flywheel to come back, but apparently it's done, and I'll pick that up next week. So hopefully middle of next week, we shouldn't be too far away.
Right, guys, thanks again for tuning in. The end of another week for me and Steve, albeit a short week, as we said. What we're going to do on the next video, hopefully, depending on how far we get, but we should be finished by the end of next week with both cars if the parts arrive. What we're going to do, we're going to show you the difference, because we're quite lucky that that's a Moonstone standard 3-door Cosy. This is a Moonstone RS500. So what our plan is when the cars are both finished, is to show you the physical differences and the performance upgrades that Tickford did to the RS500 over a standard 3-door. I think it's a perfect opportunity to visually see the differences and help you maybe understand a little bit more about RS500s. So once again, thanks very much for tuning in. Like and subscribe if you will, and we'll see you on the next video.